guys, I'm Layla. Today we're in Raid Shadow Legends, and we're talking about this fun, like, what if a scenario of Raid with other game collabs. And I am a huge fan of Final Fantasy VII. And what made me think to do this is I actually have the Final Fantasy VII Magic the Gathering, like, booster card set, right? Where I have the deck for Cloud and for Sephiroth. And I was like, okay, well, what about Final Fantasy VII in Raid? So today we are going to be checking out Cloud Strife and Sephiroth. Sephiroth. And we're going to see how Raid envisions these two. If there is going to be a Raid X Final Fantasy VII collab. Also, drop me some comments down below who else you'd like to see. I'm going to have another video with Tiff and Aerith because I thought they would be pretty fun to add in here too. But let's start off with Cloud. So I asked ChatGPT if Cloud Final Fantasy VII was going to be a champ in Raid, what faction? You have to kind of be specific with this and make sure it's like a current existing faction so they don't come up with something random, right? So ChatGPT said if Cloud Strife from Final Fantasy VII was introduced as a Raid champion, said he would feel like a natural fit within the lore, aesthetic, and mechanics of the game. And they say he aligns well in Raid as well too. And they put him in Sacred Order. What do you guys think? Do you think he belongs to Sacred Order? And the reasoning is, this is the Sacred Order houses many characters with a brooding, righteous warrior vibe. And they give examples like Martyr, Inquisitor, Shamal. And it said Cloud's ex-soldier background and journey from mercenary to reluctant hero fits well within this faction's theme. Considers a lot of conflicted champions that are fighting for a higher cause. They also said Bannerlord could have been a possibility, but they think that Sacred Order fits with the savior archetype, spiritual theme, and the aesthetics. And of course they have as a legendary because it said he's an icon. No way, he's not a legendary. So they do say Sacred Order or Bannerlord. I'd love to know what you guys think of that. So they do have him as a Void attack champion. And they said Void affinity makes him feel universal. He's neither light nor dark. He's a hero forged from trauma and carries aspects of both light and shadow. Plus, this avoids affinity disadvantages, making him more desirable to players. And so his name in the game will be Cloud Strife ex-soldier. It says, I'm not just a memory. And they do give him some pretty decent base stats. This is kind of one of the few times we've done this where ChatGPT actually gives like base stats as well too. All right, skill one, this A1 is going to be Braver. It's a single target damage based on attack, which makes sense. Slashes a single enemy with a massive downward strike. So it says the effect is a 50% chance to place a weaken for 2 turns. And then when you end up upgrading the skill, it's plus 25% damage and plus 15% debuff chance. Cross Slashes is A2 with a 3-turn cooldown. And again, this is going to be an AoE with damage based on attack. Unleashes a sweeping X-shaped slash across all enemies. And so the effect is a 75% chance of placing a 60% decrease defense. And then if the skill kills an enemy, fills Cloud's turn meter by 25%. Upgrade, plus 20% damage with, you can have a 1-turn cooldown, less like 2 turns. A3 is the Slash. Now, if anybody here has played Final Fantasy VII, all of these skills make sense. These are all like Cloud's abilities, right? So this one says a multi-hit based on attack. So he performs a relentless flurry of 8 slashes on random enemies, and he prioritizes targets that have a decreased defense debuff on them. Each hit ignores 15% of the target's defense, and the critical hit resets the cooldown of Braver, which is going to be the A1. So again, just with that, obviously you already want him crit capped, but even more of a reason to make sure he's crit capped because you want that crit, so resets Braver, his A1. Now his passive is going to be Soldier's Legacy, and it says increases his champion's attack by 10% each time an enemy dies, up to 50% per round. Also reduces incoming critical damage by 15% and cannot be removed or stolen. For his aura, increases ally attack in all battles by 33%. So for his visual, and this shouldn't be a shock, is like for his visual aesthetics, they said Cloud could wear a stylized blend of his Advent Children gear and Raid's gritty armor texture with a Buster Sword, glowing faintly with void energy. His animation is envisioned to be fast and explosive, especially with Omni Slash. Now, I did notice, it didn't provide me with like a lore paragraph, so you're going to see that I asked. And so here's a little lore snippet for Cloud. Once a loyal soldier from a distant world ravaged by war and corrupted science, Cloud Strife was torn from his realm by a rift in time and cast into Teleria. Haunted by fractured memories and driven by a promise he can't quite recall, Cloud now wields his legendary blade in the name of justice, though he questions what that even means. The Sacred Order took him in, sensing both divine fury and deep sorrow in his soul. In battle, he moves like a storm, silent, swift, and devastating. They say when he fights, echoes of another world still ring with each strike. Okay, so this is how ChatGPT envisions Cloud from Final Fantasy VII into Raid. So I'd love to know what you think of this. Now, Sephiroth. I'm excited about this one. Sephiroth is probably like one of my favorite gaming characters overall. Such a complex story, just looks super cool. So same thing. I asked if Sephiroth was in Final Fantasy VII, where would he belong? And ChatGPT says if Sephiroth reimagine, obviously his design fits seamlessly into the dark fantasy aesthetics. And they envision him in Night Revenants. What do you think of that? They said this faction includes champions who have embraced darkness, death, and forbidden power. It fits with Sephiroth's iconic descent into madness and his god-complex persona. So they chose Night Revenant. I'd love to know if you guys agree with this. And says, once the hero of legends, now a harbinger of ruin, his blade cuts through hope as easily as flesh. So we have, his name is going to be Sephiroth, one-winged judgment. Obviously, legendary attack void. And they kind of vision him as this single target debuff hybrid DPS in the Night Revenant faction. So this one did provide me like a short little lore blurb. Bored of a twisted experiment between magic and science, Sephiroth was once a paragon of honor. Now, consumed by visions of godhood and vengeance, he strikes down entire legions with a single arc of his legendary Masamune. He walks the halls of doom with one black wing unfurled, heralding the end of all things. Okay, I think that actually fits him pretty well. A1 is called Masamune Slash. One strike, one soul lost. So it's going to be a single target and has a 40% chance of placing a heal reduction. If the target's under any debuff, instead places decreased defense. And the damage scales with attack and enemy max HP. That's fun. So this one, he'll do more damage for the higher attack and higher max HP that the enemy has. So again, probably good against bosses, right? A2, Heartless Angel. From full to 1, he decides what life is worth. Reduces the target's current HP to 1. Now, cannot do it on bosses, but reduces them by 25% max HP instead. Then places a stun. And cannot be resisted if the enemy is under weakened or decreased defense. Also ignored shield and block damage buffs. Now that seems pretty ridiculous. Is that the Heartless Angel reduces a current target HP to 1, or enemies knocks them down to 25% max HP. Like that seems really OP and seems like something Raid would nerf kind of quickly. A3 is called Meteor Fall. He summons destruction from the heavens. This is an AoE, places a weaken and decrease accuracy, and since the enemy is already under any debuff, has a chance to place a block buffs. And his passive is called One-Winged Ascension. When he falls, the world follows. When Sephiroth drops below 30% HP, removes all debuffs, and gains Revive on Death and Counterattack. But this can only occur once per battle. Also gains 30% increased damage while under Revive on Death. So already, I feel like in like this case, I feel like they made Sephiroth pretty OP. Now his aura increases ally attack in Doom Tower battles by 34%. So they envision him like, okay, I think this is really interesting, is they gave him a Doom Tower aura. What do you guys think of that? Like, that's actually not what I expected. I expected maybe like an attack aura or something like that, which were right, but This one it's limited to Doom Tower. Like I would have thought maybe like Arena or maybe all, but I thought that was actually kind of interesting. So I'd love to know what you guys think of this. Those of you guys watching on YouTube, I am recording this live on Twitch, and you know Twitch has all kinds of comments on this one. If they made Sephiroth into a boss, he'd be pretty tough. That's actually true. So I think considering the kind of character that Sephiroth is overall, I suppose it makes sense that they made him a bit OP in this character here, right? So I think that actually fits kind of true to it. But I'd love to know what you guys think of what ChatGPT came up for Cloud and for Sephiroth from Final Fantasy VII. Make sure you guys drop me some comments down below, like the video, and let me know who you want to see next. I think next up we're probably going to do Tifa and Aerith. And is there anybody else from Final Fantasy VII you would love to see? Like, who is your favorite character? Should we even do a Chocobo for fun? A Chocobo to like a Moogle and see what ChatGPT comes up with. I'd love to know what you guys think, and thanks for watching.